If you love having the serenity of aquatics in your home, or you just have gills, you'll be so glad you stuck around for more Explore Tulsa.
You know, Stevie, corals don't have gills, but they are living creatures who are very important to the ecosystem of any aquarium.
No gills, huh? Do they have like little oxygen tanks to help them breathe underwater?
You know, why don't we let Seth, the coral guy, explain it all to us?
I started when I was pretty young, like 12, with my first freshwater fish tank. Soon moved on to saltwater, and ever since then it's pretty much been a constant passion of mine. I was kind of self-want, and went out and got myself a little job, you know, mowing lawns and whatnot to pay for it, and this is kind of how it started. Actually, all of this has been pretty much Tulsa-based. Most of my fish keeping. One of the local shops, you know, they started cutting up coral and propagating it, and I was like, well, you know, I'll give it a shot, see what happens. I learned how to take care of an aquarium pretty well by that point, so that's pretty much how it started. When I got too much stuff, I'd have to cut it up, start some new pieces. Right now we're doing about 400 different types that we grow in-house. Every one has different characteristics as far as what it likes and what it needs and so on and so forth. Some are just absolutely, you know, really hard to take care of, and some are just, they're super easy. So obviously around me there's lots of different types of coral, and most are grown in-house. We only have like about 2 aquariums that have stuff that comes out of the wild. For the most part, we do aquaculture, all our own coral. We probably have the biggest collection in the Midwest of different types of coral. A newbie's always going to call it a plant, and I mean, I was there one time myself, and so was everybody else. So, yeah, it's not actually a plant, but it almost grows exactly like a plant. It carries on photosynthesis. It needs to be fertilized. It requires water, so it is very characteristically like a plant. Coral is actually like a colony of animals that live together, and then they form a relationship with the algae, a specific type of algae that lives inside of it, and that's what actually gives it the coral its different colors. So fish, you know, it's a totally different ballgame because fish are fish and there's not too many variations, either they're mean or nice. With coral, it's just kind of endless because there's so many different types. Some are so much harder to take care of than others, some are so easy, some grow out of control, you know, some take forever, so. I would start with things that are soft. They're the easiest to grow. They're the most tolerant to water changes and conditions in the water that newbies obviously experience as much as the people that do it for a living do, if not more. But for the most part, things that wave around are going to be the ones that are going to be the most attractive to people as a newbie as well. They're also the easiest to take care of. Most of the coral, when you see it moving, it is actually the current or the water that is actually moving the coral itself. There are a few types that do have locomotion on their own, but they're very rare, not very many, in a captive reef environment. Most of the things that are hard, that kind of look like a stick, they are much more complicated to take care of. The reason why is because you really have to monitor like your calcium and alkalinity and magnesium and all your minerals and all that. All the trace elements come into play significantly at that point. It's not just how salty your water is, for instance, like it is with some of the other stuff. Lighting has to be super high power. Things have to remain constant. You can't have swings. If you have swings, then things don't do well. The way that I've always told new people especially is if you set your tank up with the proper equipment, and you got to spend the money to do so, obviously. But if you do that, then success is about 90% right now. Technology's caught up with the saltwater world, and it's not really all that difficult to take care of them as long as you have the proper tools to do the job. There's just been upgrades in lighting, for instance. Lighting before recently, we had, you know, a fluorescent tube or a metal halide. Metal halide technology is almost 100 years old or more by now. Some people still use it, but LED lighting, which is, you know, what's taking over the world, that's helped some people to technology's caught up in that area. It's helped some people to be able to keep their tank cooler because it doesn't produce a lot of heat. Also things like just different pieces of equipment they've started putting money into producing them instead of just giving you a tube with a bubbler in the bottom of it or something that spills over the side. You know, tanks have the filtration built in and you know, things like that. I started in Tulsa, so I kind of feel that, you know, Tulsa's really kind of where it is for me. My kids are in school, you know. We like the area, and the group of people that it brings to us is definitely phenomenal.